Sound check, 1, 2, 3, 4, that's good. Mic number 2. Good morning, dear friends. Thank you for being here. Who's here for the first time? I see some new faces, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Welcome. I hope this turns out to be a Sunday morning you remember as in a very positive way. Yeah. I am this afternoon performing the celebration of life of Dr. Ron Nato at Reed College, hence my fancy outfit. I will be ending that with this simple prayer of a sort that Ron created and loved at the end of his life, and I thought we might start with it. So I'll just read it simply. May you be at peace. May you be free from pain. May you be filled with life. Surrounded by love, we are going home. Isn't that nice? It's going to be a large event, 700 to 1,000 people, and I'm planning to do that call and response. Let's try it just for once. May you be at peace. May you be at peace. May you be free from pain. May you be free from pain. May you be filled with life. May you be filled with life. Surrounded by love, we are going home. That's nice, isn't it? Beautiful. So please choose one of the two following options. Stay in yourself and quiet and just be here, or turn to a neighbor and introduce yourself and tell them one thing in your life that you're really grateful for. And we begin with the refuges, the refuge in the Buddha, which is the refuge in that aspect of ourselves which is awake, which is already awake, and which is the pathway to freedom. That which is awake, the Buddha, the Dharma, that which we discover with this awakeness, that which we see to be true. For instance, suffering, its cause and its end, or the three characteristics of existence: impermanence, unsatisfactoriness, and the emptiness of the self. So we sing to remind ourselves of taking refuge in something other than what our culture would suggest. Money, power, vacations, winning, trying to find something that lasts. I take refuge in the Buddha, the one who shows me the way in this life. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Buddhaya. I take refuge in the Dharma, the way of understanding and love. Namo Dharmaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Dharmaya. I take refuge in the Sangha, the community of mindful harmony. Namo Sanghaya, Namo Sanghaya, Namo Sanghaya. I take refuge in the Buddha, the one who shows me the way in this life. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Buddhaya. I take refuge in the Dharma, the way of understanding and love. Namo Dharmaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Dharmaya. I take refuge in the Sangha, the community of mindful harmony. Namo Sanghaya, Namo Sanghaya, Namo Sanghaya. From the 2,600-year-old teachings of the Buddha, come many useful bits of information on how to behave ourselves, how to train the heart and mind, One of my favorites is the statement that the taste of the path of awakening, at the beginning is the taste of freedom. The taste in the middle of the journey is the taste of freedom. And the taste at the end of the journey is the taste of freedom. And the meditation is designed to begin to give us those tastes right at the very beginning. And the notion is that we can suffer less, and we can cause those around us to suffer less by being more awake, more patient, more tolerant. And for those that are here for the first time today, there'll be a slightly guided meditation for about another half hour. And then Jim Dalton here, my colleague, will do some mindful movement, and Avi will do some announcements. And then today I'm going to speak on the second foundation of mindfulness, the second, in the words of the Pali Canon, the second gochara, the second pasture of abiding, the learning to pay attention to the liking and disliking the mind does all day that drives us so crazy and has us behave so unskillfully sometimes. Following that, there's coffee and tea and really fine people to schmooze with in the living room. But for now, we have the great privilege of sitting together. We get to relinquish our responsibilities and activities in the world for a while and just rest. To rest in the mystery of being awake. Please notice that you can know the contact of your body with the chair. You can know the aliveness in your hands. You can be aware of the feeling of the clothing touching your body, on your arms, shoulders, back, legs. And as it has been doing since your first breath, this body sits here and breathes in and then out. How intimate can you become with this sensation of breathing as it manifests in the chest and abdomen, the sides, the back? Each breath has a beginning. It doesn't exist, and then it does. It comes into being. It has a lifetime, and then it vanishes. Of course, in addition to the breath, there are the activities of the mind, the way the mind wanders off into the past and future, into fantasies, into liking and disliking. Please don't start a war with the mind. As the outer world demonstrates so well, wars don't solve the problem. Instead of war, we bring love to ourselves. And in love, there's room for everything. So when you notice that the mind has wandered, don't worry about the content. Just make a little mental note that says, wandering mind. And ever so gently but firmly come back to breathing in and out. is a certain gentle, persistent effort to be awake, to return to the breath, to become more and more intimately present with the breath and with everything else for that matter. We speak of the breath or a breath when in fact there is no such thing as a breath. You can notice this. Watch the next time there's an in-breathing. Where is that when the breath changes direction? It's over a long time ago. And what happens to the breathing out the next time there's a breathing in? It's utterly gone, isn't it? Please practice with awareness and kindness, or awareness, love, and compassion. If there's any sense of violence or coercion, let your body rest a little more fully in ease. This is so not about forcing the mind to be a certain way. It's about allowing awareness to shape everything. Breathing in, knowing it. Breathing out and knowing it. discomfort may arise in the body. You may be able to reduce this simply by sitting up straight. Ultimately, though, there are discomforts that we can't adjust away from, and they become great teachers. We learn to turn toward the discomfort, notice the disliking, notice any tensing up that may be around it. Put aside the breath as our training object and take the discomfort or pain into our central point of observation. We don't distract, we don't run, we don't intoxicate. We just abide as lovingly as we can in this sensation from the body. Pain is there to warn us when damage is being done, but often we get signals that are premature. And it's with these pains that we learn the growing up task of bearing that which was previously unbearable. Staying awake in the face of the unpleasant allows us to stay awake in the face of pleasure and joy as well. And we use the breath when we can to develop mindfulness and concentration. sometimes it can be helpful to pay attention to the entire body, or to sweep through the body for sensations, to start at the crown of the head and then slowly or quickly or somewhere in the middle. Just allow awareness to blossom in the face, the forehead, the ears, the cheeks, the lips, the tongue and the mouth, the jaw, the chin, and the neck and the front and back and sides, the shoulders and arms and hands and fingers. We don't need to make something happen. It's just tuning in on the sensations which already exist. From the neck down into the chest, the armpits, the sides, the solar plexus and abdomen. Life, breathing here. The neck in the back, into the back. Clothing touching, moving, warmth. Into the sacrum. Into the pressure of the buttocks on the chair, the cushion. Opening to the life of the pubic bone and the genitals, perineum and anus. And all that life that's there cradled in the pelvis. And the legs, the thighs, into the knees and the calves and shins, the ankles and heels and the longitudinal arch and the toes and the top of the foot. The body is alive. At its center, the breath comes and goes. And directing the following words to yourself, to your one precious, one-of-a-kind ever in the universe self. And just in silence, may you be at peace. May you be free from pain. May you be filled with life. Surrounded by love, we are going home. And holding the people around you in your intentions, in your heart. May you be at peace. May you be free from pain. May you be filled with life. Surrounded by love, we are going home. Including your loved ones, your beloveds, those whom it's easy to love. Think of their face, perhaps. Maybe imagine them sitting before you. May you be at peace. May you be free from pain. May you be filled with life. Surrounded by love, we are going home. And now to all of us here on the earth and anywhere else that life is flourishing, may you be at peace. May you be free from pain. May you be filled with life. Surrounded by love, we are going home. And I close with this. It's a transcription of a conversation I had with my friend Ron, who passed away. Ron says, "Are you still going to be the officiant at my memorial service?" "Yes, of course," I said. "What should I say to them?" "I'm hoping that anything offered during the service will be comforting to the attendees. Tell them this: don't fear death. Love is truly all around us. If we just scratch the surface, it is there for everyone." So home in the body, alive in this form, and now bringing awareness into the eyes, the face, and let your eyes roll around a little bit in their beautifully lubricated home, their socket. And then doing what it takes to open the eyes, noticing the intention, which comes first, and then the actual pulling open of the eyelids. And then notice seeing. Seeing. The miracle of seeing. We have no idea how we do it. It just appears. Objects appear. And please take a moment to let the body move, but don't do anything sudden. Notice how it signals you how it would like to move, and then let that move or stretch happen. But really present for it. And I'm going to pass the microphone to Jim to do some mindful movement with you.
Okay, hooked up again. So, in touch with our feet. Feet are parallel, and our knees are soft, our shoulders are back a little bit. Just open the arms a bit and let the arms return, just opening with the in-breath and releasing with the out-breath. Maybe we can all start flying. And then forward. And sinking a little lower. Keeping the head above the tailbone. We just lift the hips, the spine, and the head all move together. The hands roll over, sink with the palm of the heel leading, and then the wrist leads coming up. We bend the elbow and float down. The nervous system says, "Thank you. This is really pleasant." We could just do this for the rest of the hour. But we'll engage the lungs a little deeper. We'll lift and open. Coming back to the center and sinking. How does that feel? Allowing the body to just move in these round, open movements. Soothes the overstimulated body that's constantly vigilant, driving over here, taking care of business, move upward and paint a rainbow, and then feel the enjoyment of that. Beautiful rainbow across the sky, and the hands just splashing colors all across. How we think about things changes the way we feel. Sometimes how we feel about things changes the way we think. It goes both ways, but right now we're going to take the direct path. I'm going to separate clouds. Hold an image of separating clouds. How does that feel? No stress, no strain. Clouds just separate. At least in our imagination. Full breath in. And then release. Once more. Turning to the side, we separate the hands. One palm up, one palm forward. Push and pull. Feel the movement around the central axis from the crown of the head down between the heels. We're massaging the spine. It's been sitting still on its best behavior the last 30 minutes. Now we give it a little freedom to twist and turn, open. And then turning the shoulders, turning the arms in the shoulder socket, however far you want to go. And then reaching up, lifting one heel off the floor, and back to the other side. There's a pleasant feeling in my shoulder as my arm reaches up, and there's a pleasant feeling releasing. It's a win-win. Turn and gaze at the moon, twisting the spine more again. Then releasing it, twisting, releasing, noticing the feeling tone with round, soft movements. Pressing across. Then reaching across for cloud hands. Focus on one palm and let the other palm face the earth. Come across the midline, go over to the other corner, and then switch positions, allowing this cloud to just drift across the sky with a shadow on the earth below. So some ways of thinking about things are more pleasant than others. Allowing a cloud to just travel along with its shadow releases a feeling in the body. There's a connection between the intention with the mind and the words and the gesture, and then the follow-up feeling that arises. So we're about half through this routine, and the first half has been designed for soothing and quiet pleasure. Now we'll step out and energize the body more. It's a different kind of pleasure. Splashing in the sea, the weight goes forward and back. We can feel the power in the legs. We sit back on a little stool, reach forward and stabilize, turn, allow the body to do the opposite on the other side. And then riding the waves. Forgot to turn you. Okay, now we'll turn. Get hypnotized by my own gesture. Okay, open the arms, palms up. Move forward, palms down. Again, checking in with the simple valence of the body. Is it positive, negative, or neutral? Some movements are definitely positive. Some may be working against a injury, and that might be unpleasant. And others, undecided. Wait and see. Then back to the center. Find the equal balance on both feet. Soft knees again, soft shoulders. Make a fist and sink. Let the dragon rise from the sea. And there's a different kind of pleasure and agency. Moving upward with the power of the legs. Extending the arms. Opening the shoulders. Spreading the wings. Moving up on our toes. Flying with the cranes. The herons. Turning the wheel. Changing direction. And then coming back to the center again. Symmetrical, even, everything's balanced. Then we lift one arm and one leg. And the body immediately responds with agility and balance. There's an intelligence that just kicks in when you intend to do a particular gesture. It just follows up throughout the whole nervous system. And then the most pleasant for me is the end when we gather and release, making room for new energy in, and we're letting go, letting go, letting go. Okay, coming to stillness. Just noticing the predominant sensations, scanning the body from the top of the head, down, gradually through torso and arms. Just aware of sensation and noticing pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. Continuing to scan. Just noticing. Not trying to prolong the pleasant or push away the unpleasant, but just notice. Different valences in different parts of the body. And then sink again and gather all of our experience into one gesture. The body is soothed and energized and ready to go. We had about a dozen people here yesterday doing this for 4 hours. It was great. We'll be back the third week of February, unless there's a surprise coming. Thank you.
Good morning, Sangha. Good morning. Can you all hear me okay? Okay. My name is Avi. I'm community coordinator here. My pronouns are he, his, him. First thing for announcements, Misty, would you and/or Ipsia like to do volunteer stuff?
Hello, Sangha. I'm Misty, co-volunteer coordinator here. And it is my pleasure to announce that we need right now, or our most pressing need right now, is for a web coordinator. So if anybody has any experience doing web development or anything like that, please come to Ipsia or I, and we'll hook you up with that. Anything else?
Nope, I think that's it. Thanks, Misty. Misty and Ipsia are our volunteer co-coordinators. If you have a feeling like you want to put some energy and time into this beautiful place to keep it being our home, this is Ipsia here. Please talk with them after the gathering. They would be happy to plug you into this place in a way that suits your interests and your time. Oh, that's pretty. Okay. We always need classroom volunteers to help in the Sunday Children's Program. This is our investment in the next generation of meditators here at PIMC who one day will be among us, not being antsy and not being bored, but actually sitting and meditating with us. Wouldn't that be something in a few years? So if you feel called to do that, doing it once would be great. Doing it regularly every month or so would be great. We have a sign up on the where we take people to sign up for particular slots. You can do that on the homepage of our website. A couple of other things about the library. Our library, the Barking Dog Library, will be starting up operations sometime soon. Still no fixed date, but we're getting there, and it's looking more and more like a library all the time, thanks to the really wonderful efforts of Eliza and Connie, who have been working really hard to get it shipshape. First thing is, in order to take books out of the library, you're going to need an account. You can sign up for a library account. You go to our homepage. There's a posting box there that has a form you can fill out. There's also, there may be a sheet of paper on the library where you can actually do that, but I think the website is the most reliable way. Also, if you have old books from the Barking Dog Library sitting in your bookshelves or propping up a table that you haven't looked at in a long time, please bring them back. Please bring all the errant children home. There is a basket outside of the library in the living room where you can put those books. No fees, no harm, no foul. Just bring them by. So things that are going on for the rest of this month. The basics of mindfulness class with Doug started. I'm sure that he would be open to people coming in this upcoming week for the second class if you decided that you wanted to get in on it. Then we've also got a self-compassion retreat, also with Doug toward the end of the month, and a mindfulness hike with Vic. Vic, could you raise your hand, please? If you really are one of those hardy souls that wants to do a winter snowshoe hike, Vic is the guy to see. It promises to be spectacular. Then in February, we've got 3 retreats that are planned. We've got our first Saturday monthly day-long with Doyle. We've got Mary Stankiewicz, who is going to be coming in on February 8th. We've got a half-day Qigong retreat with Jim next, 4 weeks from now. We've got Buddhist movie night. We've got newcomer orientation. We've got an advanced directives workshop with Evening Star beginning of February. All kinds of things going on. So if you would like to partake of any of that, it's all on the website. The final thing is that we do Dharma consults here if you have issues coming up in your practice and you want to talk with a practitioner about them, or you want to get a start on a daily meditation practice. Jim would be happy to spend a few minutes with you today. And if not today, please contact me at the office. I'd be happy to set you up with somebody. And that's it. Thank you so much. It's wonderful to be here with you. Blessings on your day. Ta-da.
right. I'm feeling very grateful for the 20-some years that I've been practicing with Robert, and getting deeper and deeper into the Buddhist way of life. And the foundation of that is gratefulness and generosity. And over the years, I can feel that my tight-fisted Scottish heritage is loosening up. And I've got more extension in my arm, more freedom and movement in my hand. And I won't go into all the reasons for all that, but anyway, it's the joy in giving and a joy in sharing through the Dharma and through the Sangha. And so I always think about my father-in-law, who taught me to pay it forward. I put that kind of energy into my participation in PIMC as a way of paying forward all that I've given. I want to show up and make the doorway, the gateway, obvious and welcoming and accessible. And if you would like to join in that, there's ways of doing that through participation in the volunteer program, but also through financial support. So think of all the blessings you've received from PIMC, and then figure out a comfortable, open-hearted way of extending that forward. Thank you.
Thanks, Jim. Great. I just came across a poem I'd forgotten completely. It's kind of tragicomic. It's by Ellen Bass. It's called Relax. Bad things are going to happen. Your tomatoes will grow a fungus, and your cat will get run over. Someone will leave the bag with the ice cream melting in the car and throw your blue cashmere sweater in the dryer. Your husband will sleep with a girl your daughter's age, her breasts spilling out of her blouse. Or your wife will remember she's a lesbian and leave you for the woman next door. The other cat, the one you never really liked, will contract a disease that requires you to pry open its feverish mouth every 4 hours. Your parents will die. No matter how many vitamins you take, how much Pilates, you'll lose your keys, your hair, and your memory. If your daughter doesn't plug her heart into every live socket she passes, you'll come home to find your son has emptied the refrigerator, dragged it to the curb, and called the used appliance store for a pickup. Drug money. There's a Buddhist story of a woman chased by a tiger. When she comes to a cliff, she sees a sturdy vine and climbs halfway down. But there's also a tiger below and 2 mice, one white, one black, that scurry out and begin to gnaw at the vine. At this point, she notices a wild strawberry growing from a crevice. She looks down, up at the mice. Then she eats the strawberry. So here's the view, the breeze, the pulse in your throat. Your wallet will be stolen. You'll get fat, slip on the bathroom tiles of a foreign hotel, and crack your hip. You'll be lonely. Oh, taste how sweet and tart that red juice is, how the tiny seeds crunch between your teeth. That story of the woman hanging on the vine always reminds me of, I had the perfect strawberry once. I was up at Brighton Bush Hot Springs, actually in the cabins above it, the private cabins, and there was a wild strawberry, a little tiny wild strawberry. It was this big. And it ruined every strawberry I've ever had since then, because it was like strawberry. Hello. Thank you so much for being here. If you weren't here, I wouldn't be here. And it's a huge privilege to play this role and get to speak about the beautiful Dharma of the Buddha. I always try to listen when whoever it is that talks, because I often learn things from him. The taste at the beginning is the taste of freedom. The taste in the middle is the taste of freedom. The taste at the end is the taste of freedom. Please raise your hand if that's an experiential truth for you. Yeah. Hello to those of you joining us out on the internet. There's something really strange going on here. It's strange on a big scale and strange on a micro scale. The strangest thing, I think, is that we're here at all. I mean, how does this happen? 14.2 billion years of a universe, and then a planet, and then life forms, and then we each get born in a very unlikely fashion, I think. Very unlikely fashion. Who would believe it? And then we go through somebody training, and then we become, to some degree or another, self-aware. But where does that awareness come from? Like if I were to say, please become aware of your right hand middle finger right now. How do you do that? Or please become aware of seeing. Nothing changes except there's this knowing. And what we traditionally do, or commonly do, is we hypothesize there's a little person in here. When I think of this little person, when we tore up, you were there, when we bought the building, there was an ugly asphalt parking lot between this building and my little office. And we tore it out, and we rented a backhoe. Ron Matella drove it. He was a landscape architect. He still is, I think. The name? No. T-Rex. Oh, yeah. It was, as they go, it was a small backhoe, but I got to drive it for a little bit. And those hydraulic levers, they're so sensitive. And, you know, when you watch someone using one and they're reaching and bringing, and they're skillful. That's not how it starts. Forget why I was saying that, but I got so engrossed in the memory of driving T-Rex. Awareness. Oh yeah, I remember where I was going. There's this image. I have this image in my mind that in behind the pituitary, just about where the aneurysm was in my brain, there's this little person who runs the hydraulics. But that's not true. The awareness is an utter mystery. And it's because of this awareness, as I understand it, that the Buddha can say that the taste of the practice at the beginning, middle, and end is the taste of freedom. Freedom from what? Freedom from suffering. Freedom from identifying with this. Freedom from 100% identifying with this body-mind. I have a now 8.5-month-old grandson. He still pretty much takes every little tiny feeling really seriously. He goes from being happy to catastrophically enraged because he drops his binky on the floor or he doesn't get to have what he wants. But he is those emotions. It's really helpful if, as we grow up and assume positions of responsibility, if we get so that we don't have to respond to every single affront with an attack or with freaking out. So, one of the central premises of this practice is that it's possible to assume a position in which there is observation of one's experiences, but not identification with them. I once, a long time ago, 30-some years ago, Ruth Dennison called me, and she never called me early on. And I got this phone call, and I answered it, and she said, "Darlink, I was just listening to one of your talks." And you kept using the words cultivating the observer. There is no observer. That's Gurdjieff. Teach Buddhism. And then she further explained, don't give people another concept to think of as their self. Now I'm going to cultivate the observer. Because then at some point they're going to have to observe the observer and get rid of it. So there's something utterly paradoxical. There is the capacity to observe, but not from a self. And that's where it gets really wild. What if it's true that it's the universe that does the observing? If we were of a theistic bent, we could say, what if it were God? But